Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to the first of, I hope, many character workshop videos I'd like to do. Because as I was working on a couple other videos and even kind of thinking about, do I want to do another top 10 video? I was hit with this little epiphany that I'm going to share with you guys, because I was talking to a good friend of mine about character development and realizing just how undeveloped most characters I come across actually are in not just good old fashioned D&D, but other games, and some of these things don't all work for every role playing genre. Some of them don't really work for fantasy, or don't work for sci-fi maybe. But I'm going to go through 10 things you should know about your character, but you probably don't, and you probably never think about these things, because you got your race, your class, your profession, and what the goal is, and what the thing is, and most people, that's enough. That's it. Their character is a cardboard cutout of a cardboard cutout of a cardboard cutout of a million characters that have been played before. And to be honest, they very rarely have any of these original qualities ever show through, and to me, it's part of the boredom factor that I'm noticing with other people that I know. They're getting bored of this, or they're getting bored of that, because they're not really delving into the actual persona, the actual psyche of the characters they're playing, because they're just, they're the character sheet, they're the race, the class, the profession, and the goals. And here are some things I think, if you take this list and you start writing these things down on the back of your character sheet, answers to these queries here, I think you'll find that you're going to come up with a little more depth for your character, and you can share this with your GM, and maybe they can work some of it in. Not quite the backstory. I'm not really talking your backstory, because even those I find shallow, and trying to force things into the game that are, for the most part, usually designed to make the adventure more exciting and more things happen, when in fact your characters never ever seem to stop and not just smell the roses, but have opinions about things. And so let's get into it. A real easy one right off the bat. What's your character's favorite color? Obviously, I wear blacks, and a lot of my characters wear black. But those are not just the stylistic choices. They're tactical decisions as well. But what if your character really likes red? And their wardrobe is red. Will Scarlet, was that because he had that thing? He liked red enough to make it, a point that all of his outfits had red, or were entirely red, or had some red in them. So maybe your character has a favorite color. Maybe it's a favorite color they don't wear because of another reason. Maybe it reminds them of something. Maybe as it ties into one of the other ones, maybe it reminds them of somebody that they care about, or used to care about, or something like that. Another one is favorite food. What's their favorite food? I know, like I was having this discussion with my family the other day. My favorite food of all time is potato chips. I would rather have potato chips than a steak. Throw in some sour cream and onion dip. I'm good. I could be all I eat in a day, and I would be in hog heaven. Unfortunately, I gave them up because of how bad they are for me. But that's a thing you could kind of incorporate. Your favorite thing is, cheese doodles or pickles or something, and then you could develop a why they go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and maybe every time you're going somewhere, Woody Harrelson in what was it, Zombieland? It was Twinkies. Always looking for the Twinkies. That, yes, it drives the character's story and background, and even the adventures, because he's always looking for the Twinkies. And they get rarer and harder to find, or when you do find them, it's like, to them, it's like it's their birthday, but to everybody else, they're like, they're freaking Twinkies. Who cares, right? Another one is their best friend, and I don't mean amongst the party. Maybe they had a best friend growing up. Maybe something bad happened to them. Maybe they're still at home, but they're a farmer or they're a cobbler, but they were your character's best friends, still are, and someday they plan on going back home and going, look what I did. Let me tell you all the adventures I was in. Maybe it's something you can talk about, or write letters home to your family and your best friend. I mean, think about all the people that when like right now my kid and a lot of other kids are getting ready to move away from home after they graduate and go do things, and more so or equally so, as much as they're going to be calling up their mom and dad, they're going to be calling their best friend saying, dude, I'm here, it's it's lit or whatever, all these cool things, and they share those relationships and those experiences with their best friend. And as I referred to earlier, a love interest. Maybe they're not together anymore. Maybe they broke up. Maybe they died. Make it dramatic. Maybe they're doing something to impress this one girl or this one guy back home. Aragorn style, or maybe just something simple, and that's why they're never hitting on other people, like the bard. Maybe they have that true love back home, and someday, like Sam, they plan on coming back home to that person who might just be a zero level nobody, but to them they're everything. Something very real that if you put that on your character sheet and you play to that, will make your character actually seem like a real person. A little further down the line, less important, but maybe they had a pet. Maybe they still do have a pet, but they can't take it on the adventure because it's a cat or it's a horse or it's a chicken. Maybe they have a pet back home. Maybe they had a pet, and every time they see an animal like that, they're always like, oh, maybe I could make that into a pet. I've noticed that it is a popular thing, people trying to get pets, and sometimes it's very unpopular for the GM, but maybe you could use that to show why you don't bring pets on adventures, or how you could maybe make something really cool into a pet, and why the character would actually want to do that, because growing up they had an ocelot or something, and now they're always looking out for another ocelot or something, like my guy right here. Very important part of our family. Then there's something that would make your GM very happy if you did the research and you look into your game world. See that guy right there. Look at him. He's trying to get in on the show. Sorry, Lucy. The one time, because he heard me, he could tell I was talking about him. Dude, you want to sit in my lap? I'm doing the thing right now. Relax, dude. I'm not going anywhere. Favorite place. Maybe there's a place you can find on the map that your GM gives you, and you can go, yeah, there was this restaurant. I want to talk about it. Like, I can't wait to go back and have a drink at, such and such, or they made the best food, or there's this park, or there's this little grove of trees. Me and the guys would go and sneak a bottle of wine to, or something else. You know what I'm saying? But you throw a little place like that, you look at the map and go, that's my favorite place, GM. Just letting you know that's my place. That's when I get home and after I do all the things, I'm gonna go there and relax there, chill out there, and say I'm home. Just saying. Then if you are playing, maybe in a modern game or a sci-fi game, or even in a fantasy game, you have your character has a favorite book and they're always talking about it, or maybe they're always reading it, or they're looking for another copy of it because they lost their copy of it, or maybe it's a TV show or a movie. I can't help but think of in Red Dwarf how Dave Lister had his favorite sports team, and he was always talking about them and throwing them in because he actually had interests in the world that were, maybe not everybody's interest, but it made him seem more believable as a character. You guys remember the I want to say it was the Jets, like the Titan Jets or something. I don't remember exactly the name of the team, But I do remember that he had a favorite sports team, and he had posters of them on the wall and things like that. And he was going to name his kids after that particular athlete. You know, people have interests and likes. They're not just their career and their race and their, you know what I'm saying, guys? Then we go on to some things they don't like, which can also be equally important. And you're going to be like, oh yeah, my character hates orcs. Okay, that's a start. That's a good one. But maybe they hate something even more than that. Maybe they hate, you know, the guy who made the orcs, or something. Maybe there's something they truly hate above all things. You know, maybe it's injustice or broccoli. You know, maybe there's a food that they just can't stand, and the GM can use that. You know, you're having a meal with the Duke of the land, and on your plate's a big old helping of Brussels sprouts, right? How do you deal with that? You know, do you just ignore them? Do you make a big stink about it? You know, maybe someone put Brussels sprouts in the meat pie that you're about to eat, and you take a big bite in front of people, and you're like, Brussels sprouts. Why did it have to be Brussels sprouts? So things like that. You know, not just my character hates orcs and he's just out to kill orcs because I'm a dwarf and that's what we do. Well, maybe there's something a little more deeper than that. But even if it's just that, you know, everybody's got something that they hate. But then there's also something that they fear. What do they fear the most? And you're like, well, I'm not telling my DM that. He's just going to use that against me. Well, then you're a pussy. And you're not a real character. You're not playing a real character. Your character's a super idealistic cardboard cutout that has no fear of anything. Bullshit. Everybody's afraid of something. And be honest about it, because maybe, you know, come on, why did it have to be snakes, right? I mean, that classic line we use all the dang time. You know, it's almost right up there with, you know, I thought they smelled bad on the outside. It's classic, it's funny, and it makes your characters seem a million times more real than they did a minute ago. You know, they open up, they have feelings and emotions and desires and wants and hates, as opposed to just being the character sheet and what they can do. So that's what I've got for you this morning. Hopefully you will take some of these ideas to your next game table and your next character and make up a list of all these things that for the most part are kind of irrelevant. I get it. You know, if you're just playing an adventure game and you don't want to do any role playing, then, you know, stop saying that. And, you know, fess up to what you're really doing. You're just playing a board game with friends with a little bit of, you know, more complication than your average board game. Or if you're really into the role playing and you want your character to be somebody besides just another extension of yourself, maybe choose the exact opposites. Like, you know, go down the list and literally make a character that's the exact opposite of you by going down this list and picking those things out and see what you come up with. I'd be interested. I might even do that for myself, you know, starting favorite color is white and go from there and see what kind of character I come up with. But let me know if you've done any of this, if you like it, if you hate it, if not, you know, just something I came up with, just something I was thinking about while thinking about other stuff for other videos for you guys. But that's what I've got for you today. I'll be back in about 45 minutes to maybe talk about this and some other things on the second breakfast show. Until then, folks, have yourself a great hump day. Love you guys, and as always, happy trails.